Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Art of Dining In. This week, the chef have prepared an outstanding menu, isn't it, Martin?
Yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, Hamish has put together a wonderful menu based on his grandfather's traditional recipes from the north of India. A wonderful tribute to him and to his, Hamish's upbringing. And yeah, great to see some food from the continent.
Absolutely, and all the colors and spices. I mean, it's so vibrant. It's fantastic.
Yeah, subcontinent, of course.
We've actually had quite a few curry for the staff food with Hamish cooking for us. It was just gorgeous. So I'm sure you'll have a lot of fun. So one of the wine pairing we're going to do this week for this menu, it's a retrospective on the wine from 10 Minutes by Tractor. And I mean, we've got a special invitee on the table, which is Martin. He'll tell you everything about all his secret about each of the wines. But basically, we wanted to showcase a little bit of back vintage as well as the current releases and quite a few surprises here on the lineup. I'm sure you'll have fun. Maybe we should dig in the first one, should we?
Yeah. Well, I think one of the things about having an Indian-inspired dish with with curries and spices and everything else is we're not normally matching wines from the cellar for that type of food. So it's been good fun, hasn't it, to go through, and I've enjoyed looking back at some of our wines, and we thought that for Pinot Gris and Riesling are obviously two fantastic varieties to match with that sort of more Asian or spicier sort of food. Yeah, so it's a fantastic match with that pan roll. Yeah, it's quite a sort of soft and sort of elegant flavors, and so with that potato, I think the Pinot Gris and that richness of the Pinot Gris really go well. All right, let's have a look.
What do you think about the wine, Noah? I mean, do you like Pinot Gris first?
I mean, I do like Pinot Gris, and it's one of those varieties that I think it's easy to overlook. But then when you have a very good example, it's just it's bright and it's really elegant and it's really fantastic, and it's it's like reminds you why you liked it from the first place. And yeah, this one is really spicy and giving and really a lot of character on this one. Eh?
Yeah, it's I think Pinot Gris it's just a fantastic food match.
Yeah,
it goes so well with that sort of lovely textural drive. It can be quite neutral, but I love the texture and the cut through. I mean, it transforms it. It's transformed with food. And I think what's interesting with this, having a look at a Gris that's got about 9 years of age, is that you're getting that richness and some flavour there. So it's sort of a really another interesting sort of twist on how Gris can be used.
This is like for you at home, you'll find that wine to be very exciting, and it's rare to see very old wines, Pinot Gris especially from the peninsula, and you really get all those aromatics that are coming through now, and it's not totally aged, maybe due to the screw cap. You'll find a lot of pleasure with matching that one with the potato pan. It's just gorgeous, got that oil and richness, and maybe we can jump to the estate. So for your next course, we are going to do the estate 19, which is the current release actually, and you'll find a little bit more sort of drive, a little bit more acidity, a bit less richness because it's obviously a little bit younger. But we'll match exactly what we need to do on the second course.
Yeah, this is really well. First of all, it's the first estate Pinot Gris we've done. It's something we wanted to do for a long time. We've got a very special parcel of Pinot Gris that we look at every year, which is always a step above everything else. And it's wonderful to be able to make this wine. We use also have a little bit of a play here with some extended skin contact, just to give that a little bit more phenolics and a little bit more of that phenolic texture through the wine, and almost that slight little bitterness which sort of helps cut with the food. So again, I think in looking at this, it's been great. It was only bottled about 2 months ago, but now you're starting to see that fruit coming through, and I think it's starting to get in a really good place.
Would you recommend, Martin, for people at home to have those two wines side by side to see the differences and the different age as well?
Yeah, I think quite interesting. I mean, they're from different parcels of fruit, obviously different ages, but I think what it does show you is that how versatile Pinot Gris can be. You know, we make this in a very traditional way. We barrel ferment. We ferment it dry, so you know, not like that little bit of residual that you tend to get up in Alsace. But I just love that that texture and things, and I think it is an interesting sort of comparison between the two, isn't it? Just showing what a bit of age will do to the wine.
Concentration.
Yeah, it's pretty texture, like it's rich but not rich cloying. It's rich, concentrated. It's got a lot of things going on. There's a lot of complexity on the texture, on the layers. You got the spice, you got the fruit, you got the skin, you got all of these things coming, and then it finishes with a lovely acidity, lovely refreshing freshness on the finish, which you want when you're pairing wine with food.
Yeah, and it's great with that fried panna, right? It's sort of with the cheese and again that sort of texture. I think, you know, in terms of temperature, you know, I'd be more inclined to serve this at the same temperature as your Chardonnay. I wouldn't serve it really cold. You know, maybe like you do, maybe a little bit colder for some of the aromatics, like a Riesling. I think this, you know, really should be at that sort of Chardonnay temperature around sort of 10 degrees.
That's a very good point, because you want to have more complexity, and what does the cold do to the wine? Maybe mask all the little nuances that you can have. So having it at a higher temperature allows you to really get that four-dimensional experience with the wine.
It needs to be cold, but you know, I just think that if you really will dumb it down too much if it's too cold. So yeah, maybe pull it out of the fridge about half an hour before or so before you start. But yeah, great, nice to see those two together.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And then what do we got next?
So for the next, your favorite, which is the yellow Dell, we're having a very beautiful one. It's one of our favorite vintage on the peninsula. One of my favorite wine of the back vintage that we tasted a few months ago with all the team. We are within the tier of 10x, and this is Chardonnay 2010, so 11 years of age. And how good is that wine?
Amazing. I mean, there's just something magical happens when you give that wine in the bottle. 10 years, you know, it's just like giving a whole different character, you know, and it's just beautiful and expressive.
Well, it was a beautiful vintage. It was a classic vintage, you know. It was, the temperatures were sort of, if you look back at the temperatures, almost exactly what you'd see across the averages for both maximum and minimum. A little bit warmer in the summer than the average, but a beautiful vintage, really mild and moderate temperatures. And, you know, I think the wines have just always had that lovely balance. And you see that now 10 years on, 11 years on, you're seeing, you know, the benefit of that the aging has been, you know, very holistic, and it's sort of just really got that lovely richness to the palate, but it's still got that lovely acidity to pull it together at the end. And when we did our tasting, our back vintage tasting with all of the team about 12 months ago, this was the 2010 Chardonnays were really a standout. In actual fact, I had one of our customers write to me recently who found a bottle of the 10X Estate Chardonnay at the back of the fridge, and he was saying how much he was enjoying that. So yeah, great vintage and lovely to see. You can see it's sort of got some nice colour, but this is not through oxidation. This is not through that sort of you know what you might see in a cork. It's very very lovely. Sort of hasn't got any of those sort of aged sort of Chardonnay characters that maybe you wouldn't maybe like those sort of more buttery notes or anything like that.
But we call that in French, when the Chardonnay gets to that level, it's the wine is patine. It means that it gets more oily, it gets more rounded. Everything is resolving. The acidity is a little bit less stringent. The fruits coming out. The oak plays an important part to add complexity. On the secondary flavor, you'll find a bit of that walnut, like sort of nutty character. It's very exciting, but you still have a bit of the green apple there on the finish, which makes you think like the wine still has a lot of years to go.
And that actually is something that you want with the yellow Dell, right?
Yeah.
To match that, you know, the texture of the cream and the texture of the wine, right? And the acidity, the fresh acidity.
Well, the acidity is critical because otherwise the two would get lost. I think you just need that. So it's great. I'm it's 12:15 here in the morning. So it's a bit of a shame to be pouring this out, to be honest. But anyway,
So basically we went through Pinot Gris and Chardonnay, which for me are the top grape variety in the peninsula, one of the tops. And I mean, 10 minutes by tractor, in my own opinion, has found a beautiful balance and harmony with Pinot Gris, especially where you have it's very like typical from the grape variety, but also typical from the region, and it's a beautiful harmony between place, grape variety, and winemaking. It's just gorgeous, and hopefully you'll enjoy that for the next course. We have a very special wine, isn't it?
Drum roll.
It's the new release of our estate Riesling. Martin's gonna say everything about it, but basically it's our first year. So you're one of the first ones to taste the wine this year.
Yeah, so it's a lovely story. We've got very, very good friends of ours, George and Ruth Mahaley, have the Paradigm Hill Vineyard, and we've been fortunate to be able to take over some of their fruit, including the Riesling. And so this is the first vintage for us using that fruit. And 2021, a wonderful, wonderful year. There's some magnificent wines that are going to be coming out from 2021. And this is one of the first to be out. And, you know, the fruit and everything just looked perfect all the way through. And, you know, in terms of what arrived in the winery this last vintage, that parcel of fruit was as good as any.
Absolutely. And you can see on the nose, like when you smell the wine, for me, it's really transparent for the season we're at the moment. Like you get all those white flowers, you know, all that citrus blossom, you know, it's very, very fresh, very, very delicate and pretty and beauty, you know, like it's just everything in one glass. It's really fantastic.
I mean, just to give a bit of perspective, there is not many vineyard planted to Riesling in Mornington Peninsula. It's actually a handful, and for me, in my opinion, I find the Mornington Riesling to be quite soft, quite elegant, quite floral, very dissimilar to the rest of Australia, and that's what makes them beauty, I think. And I think this is a good wine to have on the lineup. And maybe Noah, you can talk a little bit about the classic pairing here with curry and Riesling. What's the story about it?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's almost like required, you know, like when you have something with a bit of kick to it, you know, and you have a bit of spiciness. We want to pair Riesling from two reasons. One of them is because Riesling doesn't have high alcohol, so when you have spiciness and heat, when you have something with high alcohol, it actually makes the kick to be a bit more. So you want something to cut through and balancing it. The other reason is the high acidity. So when you have something that, for the same reason we want beer and chips, right? We want to have high acid beverage with saltiness, and it just works fantastically. In this case, you know, the butter chicken and all the other spices in the curry, you know, it's just fantastic.
Yeah, it's got a good kick, that curry, and so I think this will be a really good match for it. It'll be great for you to have an opportunity to see this new wine we have in the stable.
Look, 250 dozen produced this year, that's all we have. And we're sharing that with you before Martin drinks it all. So enjoy it. And for the next little dish, it's a chicken tandoori. So we're actually next to the guys when they were cooking the chicken on the spit in a pit fire, and you can see all that smoke, that smell, but most importantly the color very sort of orangey pink, and sometimes we're pairing wine and food that has the same color. Makes sense.
Well, it was an interesting,
isn't it?
It was an interesting discussion, wasn't it, around what to match with the tandoori chicken. And you said, you know, it's always good to match the colour.
That's it.
And I suppose we've done a good job there. This beautiful rosé. This is I think I can say this is my favourite rosé we've ever produced, and I really love it because it's got this lovely savouriness to it. I personally like a sort of dry rosé but it's still got that little bit of fruit. There's a lot going on there with that sort of almost like a candied orange and
like that orange peel.
Orange peel.
I almost
yeah.
think about Negroni when I smell it.
Yeah, it's got that Negroni type of sort of spin to it, hasn't it? And and I just think with the tandoori itself and some of that spice, if you like those exotic notes, I think this could go really, really well. And I think there's enough plushness to the fruit to really sit with the chicken, with the protein.
I'm getting very jealous right now. But yeah, Riesling 2021. I guess we've produced not too many bottles this year as well. It was
no, it wasn't.
sommelier.
There wasn't a lot produced this year. This is actually produced from fruit from the Curate Road vineyard, and it's got that just a little bit more sort of plushness to it.
Yeah.
But I love that really dry, sort of, as I said, textural drive that you get across the palate. I do think that you do want to chill this, and probably maybe a little bit cooler than what you might for the estate Pinot Gris, and maybe around 8 degrees, so similar to the Riesling. I think that sort of helps with that fresh drive through, and it's a nice contrast with the chicken.
Yeah. I actually like it on that Zalto Pinot Noir glass. I think it really gained on concentration, richness, and texture, but you still have those delicate aromas coming from the very narrow exit of the glass, which I really like.
Yeah.
This is a wine that will require age for a few years. Don't hesitate to age your wine. Don't hesitate to age your rosé. You'll find it's quite surprising how good it is. And it's good to see Australia being in the wagon of contemporary style of rosé. We 15, 20, 25 years ago, the rosé in Australia were a lot different. Nowadays, there's not really need to go to France to drink good rosé, and I think this is one of the good examples, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I'm really happy with it.
Yeah.
I think it's great.
Congratulations, guys.
Thank you. Well, the last dish.
Yes.
So the dessert. So what to match? In the 10 minutes by Tractor Stable, we've never done many sweet wines or dessert wines. In actual fact, we've only done 2. One in 2001, which was called Sweet Alice, and we did another one in 2020, and we decided to stick with the Sweet Alice, and this is from a cordon cut Sauvignon Blanc off the Judd vineyard, and it was a bit of a delicate pick, if you remember last year. we were picking that fruit. There wasn't much fruit out there to pick, but it was. I think what I really think about this and the match is that it's got that that little bit of herbaceousness and things, which I think with the panna cotta will go really well, and really give a bit of a lift with that sort of creamy, the creamy yogurt panna cotta. But I also like the fact that this is a semi-sweet. It's not a sticky, and so it really matches well with the panna cotta, which itself has only got that moderate sweetness.
And the cordon cut, when you're saying the cordon cut, is that the cordon, the wire on the vines being cut? Is that right?
So basically what we do is we cut the cordon of the vine, so that basically it is basically being separated from the rest of the vine, and obviously the sap flow stops it, and you basically start having some desiccation and drying out of the grapes, so you get that concentration of the sugar, less fluid, and so the concentration of the sugar goes up, and then we press it off. So we left it, I think, for about 2.5 weeks after we cut the cordon.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about the reason why we call it Alice?
Yes.
Because it's pretty special for us.
Yes, well, Alice in this case is spelled A-L-L-I-S, which is a homage to Alice Chalmers' tractor, which of course is sitting behind the camera, which you can't see, and we of course was a very important inspiration for our original logo. So so this is Alice as in the Alice Chalmers tractor.
So very good wine. You'll find this wine on the restaurant as well once we're going to reopen our doors. Obviously the production is tiny, so we are one of the only restaurants in Australia to serve it. I'm very excited about that, and hopefully will work quite well with your dish today. Don't hesitate to give us some feedback. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you, Martin, for your insights.
It's okay.
And thank you, Noah, for your insight as well. And
do we say things like, like us down below?
Yeah.
Or something?
Yeah. Subscribe and
subscribe down below. But also, if you want any more information, you can go on our website. You'll find all the wines. You can also, if you love those wines, you can maybe send an email and ask our team at 10 minutes if they are available to purchase. We might have a few bottles left on the side for you.
Okay, great. Thanks, guys. Enjoy your meal.
Thank you.